Jaya Jaya Yashodhanandana Jaya Braja Janaranjana Jaya Yamuna Chiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Yamuna Chiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivajikacharya Stotarashat Shri Shrimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Anantakoti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai Gaura Premanande. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udhirayat Nashta Prayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavate Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Before reciting the Śrimad Bhāgavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Nara Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. And by regular attendances in classes on the Bhāgavatam and rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. And loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. And today we're reading from the beautiful Śrimad Bhāgavatam, Canto 4, the creation of the fourth order, or in other words, Visarga, and chapter 6, Brahma satisfies Lord Shiva. We got the verse on the... Yeah. Tvameva dharmartha dugabhipataye. Dharmartha dugabhipataye. Tvameva dharmartha dugabhipataye. Tvameva dharmartha dugabhipataye. Dakshina sutrena sasarjitardavam dvaram. Dakshena sutrena sasarjitadvaram. Dakshena sutrena sasarjitadvaram. Tvayaiva loke vasitascha setavo. Tvayaiva loke vasitascha setavo. Tvayaiva loke vasitascha sevato. Yan brahmana shradayate durjitvrata. Yan brahmana shradate drita vrataha. Yan brahmana shradate drita vrataha. Okay, so now devotees can chant, but I want to explain one thing that I don't think everyone understands. When the devotees chant the shloka, you generally have to go in order of seniority. So everyone should look at the senior-most devotee, which, let's do a pop quiz. Who is the senior devotee in the room now? Yeah, check everyone. That's right. It's Urugai Prabhu. Then who's the next most senior person? And after that? Okay, so now the first few, and then after that, no problem. Okay, so now, Prabhu, would you like to chant? If not, he can defer and let someone else chant, but you give them the decision. We don't just blurt out. Like, if we don't hear anyone chanting, then you just start saying. No, you have to offer due respects. And then, like, following the Vaishnava etiquette, Mahaprabhu says that's the ornament of a Vaishnava. Dharmartha duga vipataye Sakshena sutena sajjitardarvam Ayavaloke vasitashcha setavo Ya brahmana shadati dritta vrataha Tvameva dharmartha duga vipataye Dakshena sutrena sasartitadavam Ayavaloke vasitashcha setavo Yan brahmana shadate dritta vrataha. Okay, more or less now most of the senior devotees have gone, everyone else is on a closer level, so you can kind of, I would like everyone to chant. Tameva dharmartha duga vipaitaye Dakshena sutrena sasarchitadvaram Tvayaiva loke vasitashta setavo Yan brahmana shadati dhritta vrataha Tvameva dharmartha duga vipataye Dakshena sutena sasarchitadvaram. Try not to look at you guys. Challenge. Tvayeva loke vashitashcha setavo Yad brahmana shraddhate dhritta vrataha Tvameva dharmartha duga vipataye Dakshena sutrena sasarchitadvaram Tvayeva loke vashitashcha setavo Ya brahmana shraddhate dhritta vrataha. Okay, Matajis. Tvameva dharmartha duga vipataye Dakshena sutrena sasarchitadvaram Tvayeva loke vashitashcha setavo Ya brahmana shadate dritta vrataha. From your lordship, Eva, certainly Dharma, Artha, Duga, benefit derived from religion and economic development. Abhipattaye, for their protection. Dakshena, by Daksha. Sutrena, making him the cause. Sasarjita, created. Advaram, sacrifices. Tvaya, by you. Eva, certainly. Loke, in this world. Avasitaha, regulated. Cha, and. Setavaha, respect for the Varnashram institution. Yan, which. Brahmanaha, the Brahmanas. Shadadate, respect very much. Drida Vrataha, translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. My dear Lord, your Lordship has introduced the system of sacrifices through the agency of Daksha, and thus one may derive the benefits of religious activities and economic development. Under your regulative principles, the institution of the 4 Varnas and ashrams is respected. The Brahmanas therefore vow to follow this system strictly. The Vedic system of Varna and ashram is never to be neglected, for these divisions are created by the Supreme Lord Himself for the upkeep of social and religious order in human society. The Brahmanas, as the intelligent class of men in society, must vow to steadily respect this regulative principle. The tendency in the age of Kali is to make a classless society and not observe the principles of Varna and ashram is a manifestation of an impossible dream. Destruction of the social and spiritual orders will not bring fulfillment of the idea of a classless society. One should strictly observe the principles of Varna and ashram for the satisfaction of the Creator. For it is stated in the Bhagavad Gita by Lord Krishna that there are 4 orders of the social system. Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra are His creation. They should act according to the regulative principles of this institution and satisfy the Lord, just as different parts of the body all engage in the service of the whole. The whole is the Supreme Personality of Godhead in His Virat Rupa, or universal form. And the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras are respectively mouth, arms, abdomen, and legs of the universal form of the Lord. As long as they are engaged in the service of the complete whole, their position is secure. Otherwise, they fall down from their respective position and become degraded. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshorun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavams Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpatarubhischa Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yakripatamaham Vande Shri Gurun Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hari Om Tat Sat. Tam eva dharmartha dugabi pataye dakshena sutrena sasarjitardvaram tvayeva loke vashitashcha setavo yan brahmana shadate dritta vrataha. My dear Lord, your Lordship has introduced this system of sacrifice through the agency of Daksha, and thus one may derive the benefits of religious activities and economic development. Under your regulative principles, the institution of the 4 Varnas and ashrams is respected. The Brahmanas therefore vow to follow this system strictly. There's a lot of senior devotees than me in the room, and also devotees in general, which are, all devotees are powerful. And so if I could get the blessings to be able to speak something for the benefit of everybody, especially from the senior devotees like Urugai Prabhu, Param Brahma Prabhu, Tulsi Prabhu, Hare Krishna. So we're probably wondering, at least when I first read this, I was wondering, why the heck is Lord Brahma talking about Lord Shiva introducing the system of sacrifices? Raise your hand if you thought that was kind of funny. Raise your hand if you didn't think of that at all. Raise your hand if now saying that, does that make sense that that's weird? Okay, so I'm not going crazy. What's happening now is that Lord Shiva had Daksha killed, and all the demigods knew that they messed up, so they went to cry to Daddy, they went to cry to Lord Brahma, and Lord Brahma then is like going to fix it all. That's the job. When you're in a position of power, a position of authority, then your job is to solve the problems of everyone that's the point of having the authority. So, since Daksha is dead, there's no one to perform dharma. He was doing a great sacrifice to do his progenitor dharma and make basically living in this universe possible. That's what he was, as a progenitor, a Prajapati. That's what Daksha was doing. But since he's not there to do this, he was going to be that main instrument to do it. It says Sutrena. Prabhupada translates that as making in the cause, but Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur translates it as like just like a weaver is like weaving things together. Shiva was using him to be basically the root of the dharma, which was the main dharma he was doing, was the big sacrifice. And thus there was a problem. You know, Daksha is now dead, and Shiva is the only one who can really solve the problem. So Lord Brahma is going and they're apologizing. And this is, one thing we can learn from it is if we ever make any offense, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says in Madhurya Kandambini that, what's the first offense to the holy name? Does anyone remember? We chant it. We don't chant it every day, but we chant it like every month. Yeah, so you make an offense against a devotee, that'll make it hard to chant. And so Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains to us that therefore, if we find that ourselves making an offense, then our first duty is to try to satisfy the person that we offended. And he also says we should just make our full effort to satisfy. Sometimes people won't be satisfied, which in that case, then we just completely depend on our sadhana, and we can depend on the Lord. And basically like a prayer to the Lord, okay, Lord, I've done everything I could to satisfy this person, and still he's not satisfied, so somehow let me still be able to satisfy you. And that way, gradually our offenses will be relieved. So they're going to try to apologize to Lord Shiva because Lord Shiva was offended. And so Lord Brahma is saying so many different things, and they're trying to work it out. And so we get to this point where he's telling him that, you've created the system of sacrifices, and you've the 4 varnish and ashrams, you've created that, and the Brahmanas there follow that because of you, Shiva. And so I'm thinking, like, what? I mean, doesn't Krishna say, like, even Prabhupada doesn't even mention it. He just says, yes, Krishna created the 4 orders of the social system. He doesn't even mention Lord Shiva. But so I was thinking a little bit about it, and there's a purport in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. I mean, like, who is Lord Shiva? But he's an avatar of ultimately of Sadashiva. Who is Sadashiva? Now here's a nice purport that will explain who's Sadashiva to us. I mean, we were just worshiping Advaita Acharya like a week or two ago, and so Prabhupada explains, in the Vayu Purana, there is a description of Sadashiva in one of the Vaikuntha planets. That Sadashiva is a direct expansion of Lord Krishna's form for pastimes. So we sometimes tend to think, okay, there's like, jivas, and then there's Lord Shiva, and then there's like Vishnu Tattva. These like 3 different levels. But Sadashiva, he's Vishnu Tattva. He's not Shiva Tattva, where his expansion, like the expansion to the material world is Lord Shiva, then it becomes more Shiva Tattva. And so therefore, with that kind of logic, then you can just connect Lord Shiva to being Vishnu. Although in general is also what's the second offense to the holy name? To consider anyone superior. What is the? Let's get the phrasing. What's the phrasing of it? To be equal or independent. Well, we can't consider them the same. I mean, one thing is our whole philosophy is achinta beta beta tattva. So ultimately, everything is emanating from the Lord. I mean, Krishna says that in the Bhagavad Gita. So how can anything be different? But then we are also simultaneously one and different. So the Lord expands as Mahavishnu, and one of Mahavishnu's expansions is Sadashiva. So he's a close expansion of the Lord. And also you could say that in this material world, Durga and Shiva are the ones doing most of the things, like it's said, Shaiva Yasa Bhuvanani Bibharti Durga, that Durga is just acting as the shadow of Govindam Adi Purusham, and she's doing Shristi Stiti Pralaya. She's creating, maintaining, and destroying everything. So this system of sacrifices, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, and Varnashram Dharma, which is coming from Krishna, it's maintained, it's a part of maintenance of the world. Shristi Stiti Pralaya. So Stiti, it's part of maintaining the world. So Lord Shiva is also kind of, I guess that's the way we can kind of drill in there. Is everyone satisfied with that? Because this is what Lord Brahma is saying, and Prabhupada kind of glosses over that, but I feel like I have to deal with that. Okay, so Chaturvarnyam Maya Shrishtam Guna Karma Vibhagasha. That's the verse Prabhupada's quoting in the purport, that Krishna says that all these Varnashram things, Chaturvarnam Maya Shrishtam, they come from me. But are they based on birth? No. One time my friends went to visit a Sri Vaishnav Sannyasi or something like that, one of these temples nearby, I can't remember which one. And they were like criticizing Prabhupada for making people brahmanas and doing different things like that, and trying to challenge them. And so they fired back with this, like, no, it's not based on birth that you become a brahmana, it's based on qualities. And so Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Prabhupada, they both fought heavily against this conception, because in one sense, if your dad is a doctor, I bet if you look at the statistics, it's much more likely that you could be a doctor. But it doesn't mean you have your MD. It doesn't mean you went to medical school and you went through all the things and you actually did it. So similarly, birth is one of the characteristics that influences our gunas. But it's not the only thing that influences our gunas. And there's many things that can also influence our gunas. And it's specifically in our Pantarajika Vidhi, the bestowal of the Brahminical thread of the Brahminical order and Brahminical mantras is based off the purification that which is shastrically based, like in the Bhāgavatam and Puranas and other shastras, that you get when you connect with the Lord through the pure devotional service, through the pure devotees. It's said that they can make, it's like a pure devotee is like a touchstone. They can turn iron into gold. And so by that process, we become Pancharajika Brahmanas. Now, it's also true that to become a proper Vedic Brahmana, that means like there's practically no Vedic Brahmanas around anymore, but it means someone that they can chant the Vedas, and if like you're doing a cow sacrifice and the cow dies, when they finish their last mantra, the cow comes back alive. Or, when like in the Bhagavatam, we've got the example that we're going to get to soon of King Venu being real trouble. So the Brahmanas just grab their Brahman thread, they go Om, and they meditated on him dying or something like that. I don't know the exact tantric science, but he just dies. He straight up just dies. So that's a Vedic Brahmana who can perfectly chant the mantras. Now Shukadev Goswami, he's even mentioned as he's not a Brahmana that can chant the mantras like that. Like the Puranas, that's what is remembered, not or that which is heard, or that which is remembered, not that which is heard. So, but the Puranas, especially the Bhagavad Purana, is more important than the direct technical chanting because it's giving us the greater idea. And so, there are also right now. Lord Brahma is telling Shiva, "Oh yeah, you're helping with dharma and artha, through the agency of Daksha, the population can derive the benefits of religious activities and economic development. Religious activities, dharma, economic development, artha. But what is the real dharma being taught by the Bhagavatam? It's not really the dharma that Daksha was trying to do. In the Gita, like Sarva Dharma Parityada, the Gita, which is the preliminary study of the Bhagavatam, is talking about you give up all dharma. But then Prabhupada in the purport, on the other hand, he says, everyone must vow to steadily respect these regulative principles, and we should all act according to the regular principles of the institution and satisfy the Lord. So therefore, it's necessary to have a kind of context. So the context. Obviously, Sarvadharma Pratijya, Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. The context is to Sharanam, to surrender to the Lord, to serve the Lord. So in that context, then all other dharmas can get placed in their relative juncture. In the modern education system, there's like Maslow's hierarchy. Who's heard of Maslow's hierarchy? Maslow was a psychologist or something like that, right? And he put this hierarchy of needs that people has, like a pyramid scheme. Your first needs, you need like shelter, food, air, things like that. Like if you don't have those, then you can't really do anything else. Then after that, you need like a basic core of your family. And then after that, you need like society and friends and things like that. But even higher, then you actually need self-realization. So similarly, the highest thing we need, like it said that the Vedas have the Purush Artha. Purush means men, people, us. We're all Purushas, or trying to be. And then Artha, which means that thing what you want to get. So what are the things that people in the material world want to get, which they use the Vedas to get? Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha, right? You've heard of this. But then Lord Chaitanya famously said, we want the Parama Purushartha. What is the Parama Purushartha? Parama means like greater, more, like Param, like you have your Guru, then you have your Param Guru. So you have your Purusharthas, but then you have the Parama, the highest Purushartha, which is, say it louder. Prema. Yeah, that's right. Prema. Prema is the highest Purushartha. And this is what devotees follow. This is our Dharma. So, we notice the Bhagavatam actually throws out all these things. The first verse, no, not the first verse, the second verse, Dharma, Kaitava, Projita Kaitava. It kicks out the cheating dharmas. The Bhagavatam rejects all kinds of arthas. It makes kama, these unsatisfiable desires, disappear, and then it makes moksha seem like hell. Like it destroys all of these things. Where most people following the Vedas, Krishna says they get caught in the flowery language of the Vedas, and they get caught trying to go to these other things. But really, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha are 4 phases of the same separatist material mentality that fallen conditioned souls have. And so therefore it's cheating to actually give them that. That's why Vyasadeva wasn't satisfied when he gave all the Vedas, when he gave all the different things. He wasn't satisfied when he gave the Upanishads, when he gave all these things to give people, he gave all the Vedas and that gave them sacrifice, like Daksha's giving a sacrifice and so they can have lots of money, beautiful families, and many, whatever they want to desire, they can get. And then he made the Upanishads that were these things to help you think about the world more, and then you want to get out of the world because you realize that it's just miserable. But even that moksha, giving that was not enough. That's not satisfying. Basically, they're all 4 phases of the same desire. You have kama, the original kama, lust, which is based on ignorance. Our ultimate problem is ignorance, but that ignorance leads to some false desire. then what you want to get, you need something to fulfill that desire. So you need artha, but to get artha, you need dharma. So you do dharma to get your artha, to get your kama, and that kind of goes for a while. Then you realize that also is messed up, because hopefully you realize that, and then you decide, okay, I want to escape it all. Or maybe you screwed up at dharma and you didn't get enough artha, you didn't make enough money, or like your significant partner cheated on you, or your boss kicked you out of work. Something or other happened. You got caught trying to cheat, and therefore you want to escape moksha. You want to escape from the situation. And so they're all just 4 different phases. That's what Prabhupada said. The last snare of Maya is like the desire for, liberation, for merging. You just try to make a deck of, a mental deck of cards, castle of cards, house of cards in your head, that, I'm like, everything is one, and therefore I'm one with the Supreme, therefore I am the Supreme. And I'm like bigger than everything, even though that, like, my girlfriend dubbed me, I like lost my job, and I couldn't like make it in the criminal world, and I'm just like a loser doing nothing. I'm just stuck here like doing nothing. I want to escape. So all this four phases of the same thing. But dharma projita kaitavo, that completely rejecting all religious activities which are materially motivated, the Bhagavad Prana propounds the highest truth, which is understandable by those devotees who are fully pure. And what is the highest truth? The highest truth is reality distinguished from illusion for the welfare of all. And then what does the Bhagavatam say about artha? Dharmasya, and this is from like the 2nd chapter, which is really good. Dharmasya hi apavargasya narta yopakalpate nartasya dharmai kantasya kamo labaya hi smartaha. All occupational engagements are certainly meant for satisfying your desires of your tongue, belly, and genitals. Yeah! Who wants to do that? It's okay, we're still in training, you can admit it. We're not pure devotees. At least I'm not. I mean, this is a hospital. This is not a, it should be an army full of fully purified devotees, but most of them are just operating as hospitals to make the sick people get better. So, no, all occupational engagements, so everything we do to get money, to get energy, to collect things, they should never be used to perform for material gain. And the Bhagavatam says, according to sages, one who is engaged in the ultimate occupational service should never use material gain to cultivate sense gratification. So then the question is, well, then what do we use our material gain for? And then the next verse answers that. Kamasya nendriya pritir labo jiveta yavat jivasya tattva jignasya. Jivasya tattva jignasya. Tattva jignasya. Who knows what that means? Tattva jignasya. Inquiry into the absolute truth. Life's desires should never be directed towards sense gratification. One should desire only a healthy life or self-preservation, since a human being is meant for inquiry about the absolute truth. Nothing else should be the goal of one's work. So we work, everyone's working. Who's not working? No one can be living without working. You may think, I don't have a specific job and I'm not making specific money or doing that, but everyone's doing some sort of work. Even just to like sleep in bed all day is also some sort of work. Kind of hard to do sometimes. Some people can't sleep. Or you sleep in bed too much, you start to get bed sores, and you have to get out. That's very lazy work. I'm not saying people should do that. But Krishna himself says, no one can escape work for a second. Even you have to breathe. Breathing is a little bit of labor. But whatever we get from that work, we have to spend that so that we can jivasya tattva jignasya. We have to spend that, whatever energy we get. We're working for breathing. What do we get from breathing? We get oxygen in our blood. What do we get when we get oxygen in our blood? That all our red blood cells, with whatever iron it has, can grab it and can send that oxygen to all our cells. And then our cells can use that oxygen, convert it into ultimately ATP, which is energy. So whatever we do, work gives us energy. So what should we use our energy for? Well, we'll get there, but we're going the logic of the Bhagavatam step by step. Inquiring this verse says inquire into the absolute truth. But then luckily the next verse tells us what is that truth. And it doesn't tell us from a random point of view. It says, learned transcendentalists who know the absolute truth. Not just guessing and like thinking, I think maybe it's like this, like all these modern philosophers oh, what if like this? What if like that? And sometimes their mental masturbation is very stimulating and very amazing, but that's ultimately all it is. It's just empty words. But the learned translators, transcendentalists who actually know, what do they call it? Brahman, Paramatma, or Bhagavan. So, therefore, it's concluded that the highest perfection that you can achieve by doing your Dharma, Artha, and Kama and Moksha, your Dharma and Artha, is acting to please the personality of Godhead, to please Bhagavan. Therefore, this is the Bhagavatam's conclusion. I think it's Sutadev Goswami saying it here, not Shuka. This is the second chapter. Is any Bhagavatam scholars can confirm the second chapter is the words of Sutta Goswami? Yes, Pandava? Does that sound right? Sutta. Yeah. It's either Shuka or Sutta, or maybe it's someone else. But I'm pretty sure it's Sutta in the beginning. Shukadev Goswami doesn't really speak even till like the second canto. I'm pretty sure. So, therefore, the conclusion is, with one pointed attention, one should constantly hear about, glorify, remember, and worship the personality of Godhead. And so, therefore, that's the real Dharma of the Vaishnava. The Vaishnava, we don't have Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. We just have Shravana Kirtana, Vishnu Smarana. That's our Dharma we have. Prabhupada says a nice thing in the purport of that verse. If realization of the absolute truth is the ultimate aim of life, which is what Bhagavatam is concluding, then it must be carried out. In any one of the above-mentioned castes of orders of life, the four processes, namely glorifying, hearing, remembering, and worship, are general occupations. Without these principles of life, no one can exist. Oh, that was nice. Like, we can't even exist without that. I mean, in the modern day, people are so absorbed and obsessed with different celebrities and like musical stars and movie stars and sports stars and all these different stars, and they're obsessed with astrology stars and like, yeah, porn stars. Yeah, exactly. So many, it's disgusting in this world. So, but we have those people. If you just spend your time glorifying them, you're not really going to gain very much out of it, and eventually it's all going to go to hell. Like, what is the newspaper? It's full of all those people, but what's the most important section of the newspaper? The obituaries, because life is a bitch, and that people are going to die, and that the famous person from when he was our age and when Prabhupada was our age is completely different. And the famous people now, I'm only like one generation, like been in devotional service, like about 10 years, but I have no idea who the hell these famous people are now. And the language that they speak, it's all like so weird. You know, all the movie stars and all the pop stars and the sports stars, they're all completely different. You know, I grew up, you know, when it was like Green Day was like a really big band, and like, you know, everyone was making fun of George Bush for being the president. And, you know, like I remember Bush, I remember like a sports star, Reggie Bush was a really good runner in football. And there was Ronaldinho from Brazil or something, the famous soccer player, something like that. But now it's like completely different people, and those people are getting old. And like another generation, they're going to get older. Then they're going to be like the really old guys, like, oh yeah, I remember back in the day that I did this, and then they're going to be dead. Who even like Ram Roy, who often quote these funny TV shows, and like no one even remembers those anymore because they were like back in the 70s or in the 60s, you know, the 50s. No one remembers these shows anymore. And similarly, like the shows that we grew up with, whatever we watch, I don't know what you guys did growing up in India, but no one's going to remember them in 10 or 20 years. It's going to be completely forgotten, and it's going to be the next thing to brainwash the people. And so that's the point that they say in the Mahabharata, that the days and nights are just like a fire in a pot, and it's just cooking the living entities. And so if we take shelter of all these different things, we're just going to get cooked, and we're going to die. Like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, I want to say words that he said, because yesterday was his special day to remember him, and we can continue it. He was saying that what happens when the Lord asks someone to chant and they don't, or on the Lord's behalf, we ask someone to chant and they don't. Because he asked Haridas Thakur, the Muslim, and Nityananda Prabhu, the Brahmin, to go to everyone because they were different. Because there was one that was Muslim and one was Brahmin, they could reach everyone. That was his strategy. So he said, just go to everyone and beg from them, but don't beg from food from them, beg them to chant. But what happens to the ones that refused? That's my question to you. And I'll give you the really heavy answer, which he said. And it's really wonderful. Anyone just guess? I want one person to guess, at least. Yeah, that's right. But the way that it's described that Lord Chaitanya, immediately when someone refuses to engage in the Sankirtan movement, he immediately sends his chakra to kill that person. And it happens today. If anyone refuses, their chakra is coming to kill that person. And not only kill them, but give them the utmost misery. Isn't that wonderful? But actually, it's the Kala chakra. Everyone's already being burned up by Krishna's chakra. They're already getting destroyed by it. And it's the topmost misery. Krishna says in the Uddhava Gita, the greatest misery is searching after sense gratification. There's no greater misery, but everyone's out trying to do that. And it's like the most insidious torture that you could ever conceive of, that people are just doing to themselves. So that's what they get. If they refuse the rope out of there, then they're just stuck in that. And that's what they get. They get gruesome death after boring life, after so many, whatever ways that their karma pulls out. It's just like a terrible situation. So therefore, how to get out of it? What's the rope? Like Mahaprabhu says, chanting Hare Krishna, and that expands into all of our actual Daivi Varnashram Dharma. But it means we have to keep the top thing at the top. It starts from Sankirtan, but when we want to do Sankirtan, like Prabhupada was trying to do Sankirtan, but what did he need? Before he did the first Sankirtan, he needed a place. Well, he was kind of doing Sankirtan, distributing his books and going different places. But when he wanted to really do it, he needed a temple. He got 26 Second Avenue, got Michael Grant and a few other crazy hippies to give him some money, and he could make the first down payment. And he started saying in 26 Second Avenue, and in his room there, and he had the storefront. And then from there, after you have your place to stay, and you need to pay the rent, what else do you need? Well, yeah, okay, you need some money, you need some food, and I mean, come on, is that all you need? I mean, we have more. What do we have here in this temple? We have manpower. Yeah, exactly. We need a nice place to sleep, a nice place to stay. We need that protection from like criminals. Like if there's no law and order, they just break in and just steal all their stuff. Like one time, someone was pissed at, I guess, the devotees and threw a brick through the window, like with a threatening message or something. And Prabhupada said we should pray to Lord Nrsingadev. And we also, to do Sankirtan, you need a stable society so that people are not just all like crazy homeless bums that don't know anything, that they can actually talk to you about higher topics. Like Maslow's hierarchy. If you don't have a shelter, then you're going to, most likely, unless you're very like high conscious, you're going to become a crazy destitute bum. You're just out in the wilderness with so many things affecting you. Your body and mind can only take so much before you break. And in New York, you've seen the effects of it. We've smelt the effects of it. If you're going, here's a tip: if you see a train and it pulls up and there's no one on that train, and you think, "Wow, this is really nice," but all the other train cars are full next to it, that's your warning. You should use your intelligence to just avoid that, because there's something there that's making everyone leave. And yeah, it's not really suitable to talk about on the Vyasa-san, but it's very disgusting. And it's a smell that you can never forget. So, the thing is, even if we get the best sleeping arrangement, like the lights go out at like 8 o'clock and everyone's has their proper, melatonin coming in their body in the right ways, and everyone's naturally like, they sleep with no stress and it's perfect sleep and they can wake up so nicely. And there's a really good eating arrangement, sitting on the floor and everyone's like serving out, and this hot, vitalizing, fully healthy, delicious prasadam or delicious food, which is easily digested. And there's a nice social arrangement that everyone just finds the perfect partner, and they get together nicely, and they have their nice job that they're able to do. There's nice economy, and everything's going good. But if no one's focusing on the Lord, if the main thing isn't the main thing, if Sankirtan isn't actually there, then they're just living a happy life so that they can go to hell. That life, so-called happy life, is just hell, because the more happy that you are in that situation, the more devastated you're going to be when you're ripped away from it. Because that's our problem. We want to be separate from the Lord, but we don't have the potency to maintain things indefinitely. We can't maintain our bodies indefinitely. We can't maintain our relationships indefinitely. We can't maintain anything indefinitely. So therefore, the Lord sent us, okay, you want to try to enjoy? Go enjoy with all these other people that also want to do that, and try to make an arrangement that's eternal. That's his challenge to all the atheists and all the people that don't want to be with him. That this material world is that challenge. And so far, no one's beaten that challenge. Hiranyakashipu got close, but he couldn't beat that challenge. Yeah, so therefore, we have the Shudras, they get communism, and the Vaishyas get capitalism, and the Kshatriyas get their monarchy, and the Brahmanas get anarchy, but the Vaishnavas, we get the ISKCON temples. And so it can be under all four at any time, depending on what's happening. But so I wanted to read some words of the Divine Master of our Divine Master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, whose appearance to our mortal vision was celebrated yesterday. And in this essay or brief little letter, he is explaining about the transcendental temples and what the purpose of it is and how it actually functions. And he says, please preach the kirtan of the Supreme Lord. So that's the main thing of the temple, is preaching the glories of the Lord. Preaching kirtan means to glorify the Lord. To glorify the Lord means to get people's consciousness from whatever they're doing to the Lord. So there's different ways to do that, and the basic mainstay is Harinam, 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 Eva Kevalam. Right? Harinam, chanting and dancing and singing. That's the most potent meditation, because when you're singing, your mind is drawn away. When you're in music, your mind is drawn away from all other things and automatically focuses on the music. That's the definition of music, according to whatever devotees in Ujjain. I think they're pulling from some Shastra, but that's one definition of music. When Krishna was being taught music by Sandipani Muni, that was the shloka that they showed to show that. So he says, please preach the kirtan of the Supreme Lord. Even if doing so, you have to incur debt. Then, in order to pay off that debt, you have to be engaged in even more seva. When your creditors put pressure on you, you will be forced to beg more alms. Again, as the pious householders will not give you alms unless your character and conduct are pure, you'll be forced to persevere a pure lifestyle with great determination and care. I will not leave one penny for you, so that in the future you won't be able to indulge in laziness, and you won't be able to give up your devotional lives full of Hari Kirtan and Hari Seva. So isn't that really nice? That the real mercy of the spiritual master is to leave us destitute and poor. So we're forced to go begging from people we first beg them to chant the holy name of the Lord. We beg them to focus on the Lord. Then we beg them for some money so that we can beg other people to do that. And if we're not inspiring them, like Bhagavad Prana told me this funny thing. It's funny when you're on book distribution and you're trying to talk to people, everyone knows if you chanted good rounds or not. Somehow they all know. Because your consciousness, if you chanted good rounds, then what does that mean? You're preaching to yourself. You're doing kirtan to yourself, which kirtan means you're making your consciousness face towards the Lord. From Bahir Mukh to Antar Mukh, to facing the Lord. And so therefore, because you're thinking about the Lord, then you become ecstatic. Then you become effulgent. And everyone's attracted to that. And they don't mind giving money to that, because everyone deep down knows that that's a good thing to give money to. But if you didn't chant good rounds, then you're still Bahir Mukh, and you're focused on your own sense gratification. And everyone wants their own sense gratification, so screw you. Why should I give you my money for my sense gratification? You're just going to use it in your sense gratification. So therefore, they need to maintain purity to be able to impress people. That then they'll be able to give money. And the mat, which is what they called, like our temple, they called mats, Gaudiya mats. This is also in a way a Gaudiya mat. Gaudiya means there's normally coming from South India, so we're a Gaudiya Vaishnava. We're coming from the Gauda district, which is Bengal. That's where Lord Chaitanya came from. So therefore, Gaudiya. The mat is the center of Hari Kirtan, and Hari Kirtan is life and consciousness. So he says, ones who do not preach, cannot do Hari Kirtan, they're dead. Like they got hit by that chakra, got killed by Lord Chaitanya already. So we don't want to get killed. So to ensure that there is no place for laziness, bad conduct, trivial thought, gossip, or vulgar desire in the temple, you have to go door to door, where your Hari Kirtan will be tested by the public. When the public will think that they are the giver of alms and you are the receiver of alms, in other words, that they're higher than you, they'll criticize you in many ways, thinking you're the objects of their mercy. And perhaps some of them will be ready to kick you. Then, on one hand, you will be able to have the opportunity to become Trinadapi Sunichina, humbler than a blade of grass and respectful to others. And on the other hand, you will take great care to make your lives and characters pure and exemplary. Furthermore, what will be beneficial for you is, as you correct the mistakes of the common people by citing the message of Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, you yourself will not make those mistakes. So he's telling us the point is, we're not holier than thou floating on a cloud and you can take the dust from my lotus feet and I will deliver you from your ignorance. But we're going out there to deliver ourselves from ignorance, because if we're telling them chant Hare Krishna, then we're like, damn it, if I'm telling them to chant Hare Krishna, I also have to chant. And so it forces us to actually take it. That's one secret of the Sankirtan movement. Like Vaisheshika Prabhu says, it's high sadhana. So then, there's more of this letter, but there's time for one comment, and I'd rather hear one comment than just read more things. Kishore Prabhu, good to see your transcendental form. Missed you after a long time. Hare Krishna. Bandhava.
Thank you, Prabhu. Two things I just remembered. There was a verse from Bhāgavatam when you were describing the destiny of all of us in Kali Yuga, especially those who don't seem to be receiving yet the mercy. So there is a verse spoken by Narada Muni which says that the conditioned soul is just like a homeless dog that is going from door to door, begging for some food. And sometimes, dandam odonamevava. Sometimes he gets danda, sometimes he gets little food. And the conditioned souls, we're just like that, because we don't know what the karma has in stock for us. So we're just going around and hoping that Krishna will be merciful. And regarding the quote from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, thank you for this quote. I was thinking a lot about this. The purifying effect on the Sankirtan on us is not to be underestimated, especially when you grow old, become so to speak, senior devotee. Then you sit on the Vyasasan, and then the younger devotees there, they try to follow the etiquette, they're respectful, and it may get inside your skull. You might start thinking that I am special, this is one of the obstacles. I am advanced devotee and I'm a guru of Vaishnavas. So Sankirtan is the best remedy for this type of thinking, especially if you do it here, around here. So thank you for reminding all of us about this. Hare Krishna.
Śrimad Bhāgavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, all the assembled devotees ki jai, Gaur Premanandi, Hari Om Tat Sat.
Jai.